What's up YouTube, HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys today with a Harpie deck profile. So this is an update version to the last Harpie deck profile that I did, and this one is strictly Winged Beast. So there's no dragons, except for Phantasmal, but he's in the extra deck. And the main deck is purely focusing on the monsters who are treated as Harpie Lady. So at the time of this recording, Harpie Conductor was added, but the updates tend to be very stressful to add on because they don't necessarily work 100% of the time, and I don't want to delete it and have to reinstall, because if I do that, then it can mess up the system. It could still not add in the update. So I'm pretty much just gonna wait till they fully update it and then do a deck profile for the one that will include Harpie Conductor once everything is together. So without further ado, let's just focus on this one and what this version has to offer. So for my deck lineup, my monster lineup starts off with 3 copies of Harpie Chandler, 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer, 3 copies of Harpie Harpus, 2 copies of Harpie Oracle, 2 copies of Harpie Queen, 2 copies of Harpie Dancer, 2 copies of Harpie Lady 1 copy of Cyber Harpie, and 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters. For the spells, I'm rocking 3 copies of Hysteric Sign, 2 copies of Harpie's Hunting Ground, 2 copies of Harpie's Feathered Roosting, 2 copies of Split Mirrors of Seduction, 1 copy of Elegant Egotist, 1 copy of Raigeki, or as I say Lightning, 1 copy of Dark Hole. And then for my traps is 3 copies of Harpie's Featherstorm, 3 copies of the Elegant Harpie Lady, 2 copies of Hysteric Party, and 1 Solemn Warning and 1 Solemn Strike. For my extra deck, I'm rocking 3 Great Fly, 1 Fighter Daruma Doll, 1 Barrel Sword Dragon. I'm sorry, I said Barrel Loader. Barrel Sword Dragon. 2 copies of Lightning Chidori, 1 copy of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, 1 copy of Castell, 1 copy of Ice Beast Zero Fine, 1 copy of Babushka, the Terribly Tired Tape Eater, 1 copy of Evil Storm Exciton Knight, and 2 copies of Gaga Cowboy. So for the overall consent of what this deck is, it is going to be this version focuses on being basically Harpie Lady, and any card that is Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters. So that you could pretty much power through your spells and traps. You have your access to a ton of things thanks to the new editions of Harpie cards. And even though I'm not running Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon or Harpie's Pet Dragon, the Winged Beast variation actually seemed to do pretty well. Unfortunately, my recordings all got messed up, so I'll have to do a separate video of replays to talk about the different combinations of stuff that I did. With that on the side, I honestly think the better version of this is once we get Conductor, and the bugs have been worked out. Overall, I think Conductor is going to be a great addition to this deck, because finally we'll have our Link Monster, and then on top of that, we'll have all the assortment of the cards that we needed. And then just wait for the physical version, because January is not too far around. They have announced it, that it is confirmed. January will be the date. January 11th will be the date the physical set comes out for the TCG. So I can't wait for that. Now, as far as the Harpie lineup and changes gone, I've added 2 Harpie Dancer. One, because I wanted to amplify the number of Harpie Ladies to be in the count. Then I also wanted to give Dancer more of a utility setup, because for the most part, you will be abusing Harpie's Hunting Ground in its effect to pop stuff. But now that you have cards like Elegant Harpie Lady and Mirrors of Seduction, who are okay with themselves being popped, and get effects off because you're popping in with a Harpie effect, you're going to use these cards tremendously. So you want to get any advances you can with Harpie Dancer. I'm going to try some more builds out thanks to Conductor's third effect once she becomes accessible. Because I have seen the Kaiju build, I've seen the Pure Harpie build, and I want to see how it works with the Pure Harpie build before I build any hybrid combinations. But other than that, I think 2 Dancer is fine, maybe even the 1 Dancer, just because this deck isn't so reliant on having to abuse and use Dancer, because there is no Divine Wind, so I'm not going to benefit much from her. except for just popping multiple back row. The Harpie Lady transition. I just dropped one Harpie Lady 1 just to give Cyber Harpie some chance to shine and to be an additional beater because there's only 2 Harpie Queen. And speaking of Harpie Queen, there's only 2 of her because we have Oracle and Perfumer to do a lot of the bigger searching. Speaking of Perfumer, she will be one of the biggest helps to this deck next to Harpie Chandler because she's going to search for your spells that specifically list Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. So you're going to get a lot of speed boost on that. Then let's talk about Harpie Harpers because she has multiple targets now in the deck she can actually search for. She searches for Chandler, Perfumer, Oracle, Dancer, and Harpie Lady. So it's not like she doesn't do anything besides being a easy discard. But when she's normal summon, that's when you're gonna really see a lot of her standout when Conductor comes into play because she can bounce another Winged Beast. And then bounce a monster your opponent controls, and then Conductor can bounce another monster that your opponent special summons. So it's a lot easier to clear the board than it once was. Harpie Oracle is our retriever. It does suck that she is a at-end phase effect, but bright side is she can be summoning you control level 5 or higher Harpie. She can easily help you swarm the board, and she does have a lot more recovery effects than what it looks. So it is good to have her on the team. Harpie Sisters. Despite the fact these are not the most delicate cards you want to add into Harpies, because of all the acceleration the newer cards get from having Harpie Lady Sisters on the field, helps a lot more than what she used to do. Harpie Sisters has seen the best boost of support that we've ever seen in Harpies. Unless your name is Harpie Lady, then everything affects you. But for the general senses, it's glad to have Harpie Lady Sisters back. It's so good to use a level 6 Harpie and not feel worried about, oh, I'm going to lose her. There's no way to retrieve her. If I try to special summon her, I'm out of luck. No, we have all these support cards that help us now, and it's so good to finally get a chance to use Harpie Lady Sisters. I was considering bumping Sisters to 2, but I kind of think the one of Harpie Lady Sisters is all the deck really needs because it's so many different optimals that we can use. Like you can add Harpie's Pet Dragon and Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon, and it gives Chandler her level 7 capabilities. So you don't really have to always rely on Sisters, but Harpie Lady Sisters tends to be your best defense in a lot of cases. A really good monster to put into attack position to really, bow out your opponent, and just a standalone beater when it comes necessary to have someone on the field to help you start taking out stuff and doing damage. And then with that said, let's talk about the spells. Hysteric Sign will always be a key card to Harpies, allowing you to add Elegant Aegis from your deck or graveyard to your hand. During the end phase of the turn, this card is sent from hand or field to the graveyard. You can add up to 3 cards with Harpie in its name that are different from each other to your hand. Tends to help not only thin out the deck, but replenish your hand and cards that you've lost. Now, unfortunately, you can't use both effects in the same turn, but with a lot of the support now that we have from the other cards in the deck, Hysteric Sign still sees the biggest play and still is one of the biggest support cards for Harpies. It's just not as conductive as it needs to be, but luckily enough, we have all these other cards that can support it just as much as it's supporting them. Let's talk about Split Mirrors of Seduction. I'm going to go back to Harpie's Hunting Ground in just a second, but I think it's time we talked about the Split Mirrors of Seduction. A lot of people call this card bad only because of the fact it doesn't resolve around card effects. But this card works tremendously when you're destroying it with your own card, or when your opponent's stupid enough to destroy it. And the reason why is because you can special summon a Harpie monster, regardless of who it is, and put it onto the board. Meaning that you can get cards like Harpie Lady Sisters onto the board. You can get Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon and Harpie's Pet Dragon back onto the board with such ease. This card is really amazing, it's just that the first effect is a little lackluster. But if you can oversight it for what it can do with a lot of the new support surrounding it, Split Mirrors of Seduction is one of Harpie's ace spells. It isn't a great ace spell, not like, Hysteric Sign or Harpie's Hunting Ground or even Harpie's Feather Duster for that part. But this is still overall a really reliable card for Harpie Lady because it allows more Harpies to hit the board and allows you to special summon a lot of the Harpies to the board that were in the graveyard. Especially Sisters who now has an even more viable card to summon them. Harpie's Feather Roosting. I'll be back to Hunting Ground in a second. This is one of the most controversial cards because a lot of people didn't like the fact that it causes you your social summon to be nothing but wind. The thing about it is, Harpie Ladies cards, or Harpie Ladies, excuse me, monsters are wind. Harpie's most reliable sources happen to, well, be wind monsters. It's okay if we're not summoning stuff like Barrel Loader Dragon on the first turn. If you think about it, the card only specifically says after activating it, are you allowed to special summon wind monsters. So you can special summon your Barrel Loader Dragon or any other big monster, then go into your Harpie's Feather Roosting, and then retrieve your cards. It's how you work with these cards, guys. You have to read them and then understand the possibilities of things that you can do. It's not always a negative when it comes down to saying you're excluding your special summons. I mean, look at all the zombie stuff. They've excluded stuff that is a zombie, but people are summoning all these zombie monsters to the board. So never think that because a card is going to restrict your summoning because of its conditions, that it's a bad card. This card is going to see a lot more play later on because of the fact that we have a lot of monsters to not only retrieve it, but to summon it because it has Harpie Lady Sisters in its text, has Harpie in its name, and it's a spell or trap card, so it's going to be picked up by cards like Harpie Oracle. So never fret too far from it. Harpie's Hunting Ground. Despite the fact there's only 2 queens, Oracle and Perfumer can search and retrieve this card. So making it a 2-up isn't a bad thing, and popping itself isn't going to be hurting you any more than it is. Despite the fact this is the only field spell that relatively doesn't give too much attack and defense points to the type of monster that it supports, the fact that it turns the archetype of the monsters they support into walking MSTs does help upon their summoning, and it does help a lot when it comes to clearing back row. It's not no Harpie's Feather Duster, yes, but Harpie's Hunting Ground has a lot of potential things that it can do, especially now when you have cards like Split Mirrors of Seduction and Harpie's and Elegant Harpie Lady that have resolution effects when they're destroyed by like your Harpie card's effect, i.e. Harpie's Hunting Ground in Harpie Conductor. So, Elegant Egotist. The only reason why there's a 1-up Elegant Egotist is because its base targets are pretty much what people are practically summoning off of it in Harpie Lady Sisters. Now, Elegant Egotist has to be one of Harpie's best speed up spell cards because it speeds up the summon of a Harpie Lady. Now, it ain't no Split Mirrors of Seduction, it isn't no Elegant Harpie Lady, it's definitely no Hysteric Party. But Elegant Egotist is pretty much the starting point of where a lot of the combo pieces will come into play when it comes to summoning multiple Harpie Ladies. Luckily enough, the rest of the Harpie Ladies who aren't 1, 2, 3 and Dancer have the ability just to be Harpie Lady while on the field in the graveyard, so the special summoning doesn't hurt there at all. It does limit you because you're only able to summon Sisters or a Harpie Lady from the deck or hand, but this thing has a ton of combo pieces with a lot of the corresponding monsters in it. Dark Hole Raigeki, monster removal. I did want to add Monster Reborn, but I'm considering it for the next build, so nothing to fret or worry about. As we go into the trap cards, Harpie's Feather Storm. This helps deal with hand traps. This helps deal with activation of cards that you do not want to deal with, or monster effects that you don't want to deal with. Just remember, you need to have a Winged Beast in order to activate this card. You can play this card from your hand when you control a Harpie monster. Now, the downside to this is that its last effect is not resolvable in the TCG, and that's when your opponent destroys it, you can add Harpie's Feather Duster from your deck or graveyard to hand. And we're fingers crossed that our next TCG list will now include Feather Duster because we're going to get all these Harpie cards in January. So, fingers crossed there. Elegant Harpie Lady. As much as this card doesn't seem like it's such a powerhouse, this card's actually really amazing. Getting monsters whose name is not... Getting 3 Harpie monsters with different original names from each other, from the hand, deck, and graveyard, helps tremendously. This is why I was playing Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon, because it sped up the summon of Dragon, and it also sped up the summon of other Harpie monsters, so that it can become the attack target and not the other Harpies. That way, Harpie Perfumer can get her effects going. Chandler changing her level to 7 enhanced Perfumer's effect. And you could always summon Oracle so she could go and resolve and get cards from the graveyard. So this card is not a bad card to have at all in the deck. Now, why the 2-up? Well, because Harpie Lady Sisters is a thing. and Oracle can retrieve it. The best part about this card is that if it's destroyed by your Harpie card effect or your opponent's card effect, you can add one Harpie monster from your deck to your hand. So it helps in addition to Hysteric Sign Searching effect. Hysteric Party. Now, a lot of people are dropping this to 2 only because of the fact we have, well, Elegant Harpie Lady and Split Mirrors of Seduction. But overall, this card is still one of Harpie's best aces because it allows you to special summon as many Harpie Ladies from your graveyard as possible by just throwing away one card. Now, one card can be a Harpie Lady, and you can come into all your Harpie monsters and then go into your Link plays and your Exceed plays. Now, because we have Harpie Conductor, she's also a Harpie Lady, you can summon your Link monster now and do some more damage. I just wish she pointed left and right, because then she'd be even more useful. But she's still she's generically pointing bottom left, bottom right, and it's still beneficial because she's still a Harpie Lady while she's on the field in the graveyard. So Hysteric Party just keeps getting more better and better. The one of the strike and the warning is just because I needed some added defense for my chop cards. As we go on to the extra deck, Triple Great Fly. This may not stay Triple Great Fly now that we have Harpie Conductor, but it does give her the power boost and also all the other wind monsters power boost for being while it's on the field. Does decrease earth monsters, which is never a bad thing, and of course it can retrieve a wind monster from your graveyard when it's destroyed by a battle or card effect. Fighter Fire Daruma Daw, same situation like Great Fly. But unfortunately this guy has to destroy stuff in order for it to get its effect to go off. Which luckily enough, this card doesn't say graveyard, so you can take out tokens, you can take out other link monsters, take out pendulum monsters, and have you go get your Harpie cards, because it gets it from the banish or the graveyard, and add it to your hand. Now, it does have a once per turn effect by targeting a spell. By targeting a spell on each field and destroying them. So if you want to use with Harpies with Hysteric Party, Split Mirrors, or Elegant Harpie Lady, go right ahead, and they will resolve and go bananas. Oh no, they can't. I'm sorry, because they can't. They got to be destroyed by Harpie card effects to get their effects off. But hey, destroy Hysteric Sign if it helps. Barrel Loader Dragon. I didn't play this at all. I wish I played a lot more of it. I've never really summoned it. I was always going into Great Fly or Chidori or something else. It is still a useful monster because it forces the card to go into defense mode and then you can swing with it again. It's a really good monster. I just unfortunately didn't summon it a lot, like a lot of people would have wanted me to summon it. But I at least tried to. It's just so many better Link monsters that I can fit into the extra deck now, and I don't have to rely on having to link forward to a Link monster to do more prevalent stuff. As far as Cowboy goes, I know a lot of people are asking why double Cowboy. Well, there's a thing called time rules, and this thing can factor in, especially when you're beating for 800. If you're running Harpie's Pet Dragon, of course, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon would be an option into this deck as well. But for right now, because it's mainly level 4s, I just wanted to go for the double Cowboy. Excited High Knight being back just means it's a big board wipe on a chain of an effect. Do be careful because this thing can be negated and then they can swing over it to take it out. Other than that, it's still generic for a Link monster, Exceed monster, and it's a relatively good one. Double Lightning Chidori to speed up the process of removal of cards. Harpies can get into this very easily because they're all wind. It only takes 2 wind monsters, so it's a really good setup card there. Castel, similar situation to Chidori, just a lot more aggressive. It fits into a lot more of the winged stuff because it's a winged beast, it's a wind monster, it gets its bonuses from Harpie Lady 1 and Harpie Hunting Ground, and you can set Feather Storm and trigger it off of the effect. Unfortunately, the only other winged beast monster in the extra deck, Ice Beast 05, does not keep up to par with Castel. Although she does negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls, and it gains 300 attack for every face-up card on the board, Ice Beast 05 doesn't have the oomph the other counterparts for winged beast type monsters do. But the girl is still a powerhouse, and she's a great addition to Harpies because of her ability to shut down stuff. And all that attack power she gets is just tremendous when it comes to getting rid of things. So thanks, Ice Beast. Now we're going to talk about Harpie's Exceed monster. Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. It is not always the most liked monster in the extra deck, but when this thing comes to the board, opponents beware. You can't target it. You can't destroy it with. You can't target it. You can't target it for battle. This thing has 2,000 attacks starting off. It can swing at your opponent directly, and it protects his Harpie kin. The only downside to this is that it didn't protect from stuff like Regeki and Dark Hole. Well, we have Conductor for that now, so this thing just became even more of a bigger powerhouse. It does lose its material during each of your end phases, but that's perfectly fine because with Conductor in it on the board, you're pretty much going in for the kill. Babushka is only really here to slow down a lot of speedy decks that tend to rely on their monster effects. Babushka honestly is still one of my favorites, despite the fact it's an Earth Fiend. You can't really do much with it there. I have no problem with summoning this guy. I'm just using him as easy fodder to help me deal with stuff that I can't till I get my setup ready. Tornado Dragon is honestly a very reliable wind monster for any wind deck. Destroying a spell or trap card on the field once a turn helps tremendously. With Hysteric Sign, you can easily search for your cards. You can blow away dead cards. You can blow away cards your opponent's trying to activate and really get a hand on things. I'm loving the fact that it's a Germ and not a dragon. So Chandler doesn't really have to worry about anything. But at this point, because of all the new support, I kind of wish it was a dragon so that Chandler can become 7 and then I can use Perfumer's effects, Oracle, Special Summon, and really get the benefits off of Feather Roosting ability to search for cards. For the most part, the side deck is just the side deck. It's just an inclusion of some cards that I want to add. Additional Harpie Sisters. We have our hand traps in there. A lot of reliable cards like Foolish, Monster Reborn, and an extra Feather Roosting just in case I need it. And for the most part, I mean, just a lot of separate staples and setup cards here for the rest of the deck. So that is pretty much it for this Harpie Lady deck profile. I hope you guys do enjoy. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I will hopefully see you guys next time when they do update when they update YGO Pro ES again, and I'll have Harpie Conductor ready to go. So thank you guys for watching, and HCJ signing out. Take care.